Hello, beautiful souls. Jane Warren Campbell here. It's been a while since I've been here with you, and I have been going through lots of changes. And for those who were with me before, I just want you to know that my handle on YouTube has changed to Empowered Planet from Roshana88. And I am here today with a guest that I'm going to bring in, Danielle Matthews, who is a biologist. And I just wanted to share a little bit of what's happening because I've been on such a long hiatus and gone through so many changes. And this empowered planet switch is really about what we're in now. And I feel it's really important for us to be claiming our autonomy and becoming empowered within ourselves and less seeking outside of ourselves for the answers that we need and the progression that we're making in our lives, so that we can really be firm and strong regardless of what is happening on the outside. We have this inner knowing within us of our stability. And I have just been introduced to a supplement that is changing my life. It's called Asea Redox, and it has me in this place of such empowerment. It's actually part of what's contributed to me coming back at this time and saying, okay, I'm ready to claim my autonomy and bring back this piece of myself that has switched from what I used to do and doing work for others into just talking about us being empowered as a planet, all the things that we can do when we come together in community and the strength that we have in that. And this product, Asea, was brought into my life at a perfect time. I actually have had a few health things going on that I was determined to work with on my own. I really am very much into the body's ability to heal itself. And I believe this came to me at this time because I hold that so firmly. My body needed this Asea Redox, and it has made such a shift for me. So I'll just share a bit about what's been going on for me, and then I'll bring in Danielle, who's has a long history with Asea and a fascinating story as well. So in probably May or June of this year, so about 6 months ago, discovered a lump in my breast, and also around the same time had an infection in my gums and just discovered that I need a root canal. So I've been going through some health issues when typically I'm very healthy. And I was determined to work this through on my own. And I knew that I was in a life situation that once that changed, things would start to shift. And so I made that change, but the lump in my breast wasn't getting bigger, but it wasn't getting smaller either. And I started taking the Asea on November 11th, so about 3 weeks ago, a little bit more than 3 weeks. And that lump in my breast has decreased in size to almost the size of a penny. So what Asea does, what I love about this product is it's not healing this lump. It's giving our body the information it needs and the power it needs and the energy it needs to go and support the areas in our body that are needing help. And also the infection in my gums is getting smaller. And the greatest thing is just this sense of personal empowerment and the energy I have. I was telling Danielle a bit earlier that every once in a while, 3 or 4 times a week, if I'm feeling keen, I go to this spot where there's 300 stairs that you climb up the side of a cliff, and then you go around and down the hill. And typically, you know, my thighs would be burning going up those stairs, and my knees would be hurting coming back down the hill. And now I just feel like I can fly up those stairs, and I have no pain in my knees whatsoever when I'm coming back down the hill. And a few days ago, I did it back to back. One friend left, another friend showed up and did it again and was up later than usual that night. So this is part of what Asea is doing. So Danielle, I'd love for you to just come in and share a bit of your experience and maybe help us understand what it's doing, that, you know, it can impact these areas of our body, and it really has different effects for different people.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And I'm happy to share, happy to be on here. Really excited that you've got this vitality back and it's flowing through you in a way that's allowing you to open up and open up new doors, get back on here. I love seeing this. I've been working with this technology for 8 years.
Mm.
And it's something that when this gift gets passed on and passed on and passed on, I watch people's lives shift and change. And it's
Mm.
profound, what can occur when you start to add redox to your system. I mean, just for myself, to give a little background to everybody, I was in a really severe car accident 10 years ago. I'd been hit by a drunk driver, and I sustained an injury to my brain in the accident, which just at the age of 23 pulled me from life. I couldn't focus. I was really sensitive to noise and to light. I had just pounding that was relentless in my head. I was dizzy, and my personality had changed. And I attempted to go back to work, and it was very clear very quickly I couldn't handle it. So I ended up losing my job and having to just move back in with my parents and focus on getting myself healthy. And the medical community didn't have many answers for me. We were looking and searching and asking, and they basically said, look, with this type of injury, it will just go through a spontaneous healing process and it will take about a month. And then they said, well, maybe it'll take 3. And then they said 6 months. And then at my 1-year appointment, my neurologist actually said to me, well, Danielle, with this type of injury, your body's done all the healing that it will do. And he said, this is just your new normal, and you need to shape your life around your symptoms, and you need to move on. And I remember sitting in that office and thinking to myself, like, well, you're fired. Because I was 24 years old, couldn't work, felt terrible day in and day out. At that point, I was having also panic attacks. I had anxiety, I had depression, because my whole life had just, like, the life I had known, it just disappeared. And I now know, right, it awakened me to so much more. And I know I had to go through that journey, but there was also something within me that said, you're going to find the answer, keep searching. And we got a call from an acupuncturist. She had known my mom, and she reached out and she said, look, I've started using this Asea Redox in my practice. And she said, it's a liquid that you drink, and every single client that I'm using it with is having results. And she said, what's amazing to me is each person is getting different results. And the way that she described it was that it went in and it stimulated the call for help so that the body's own alert signal was amplified so it could find where the damage was and repair. And she said, it doesn't seem to matter if the damage is in the breast, in the lung, in the liver, in the heart, on the skin. And she said, I have every reason to think it could pass the blood-brain barrier and it could help Danielle's brain. And my mom just intuitively said, like, yes, this is what we've been looking for. She brought it home, and as you mentioned, my background is in biology. It's what I got my degree in. I flipped it around and I looked at the back, and the back said that the ingredients were water and sodium chloride. And I was like, Mom, I think you just bought salt water from your friend.
Right.
I don't know what that's going to do, but I don't think it's going to help a brain injury. And so I laughed this stuff off, and I went to Google, and there was great stuff out there on the internet about it. But then I saw some sites saying, oh, it's expensive salt water, scam. And I just, I was looking for that. And so I resonated with that. And I said, see, I told you.
Right.
So honestly, Jane, I missed this. I wasn't like you. Like, you were open, you were looking, you knew what you were trying to draw in, and boom, there was the answer. For me, I was looking to draw in the answer, but I ignored it when it arrived. I mean, it's so funny how our mind, I was like expecting it to come in a different package, right? Not a blue bottle of Asea. I didn't know. But thankfully, my parents, they started using it and they had results. My mom had bone on bone in her hands. She couldn't make a full fist. There was so much. Just, oh my God, they looked uncomfortable. And 6 weeks of drinking it, full range of motion came back in her hands. And her discomfort levels almost went away completely. And my dad had a bad knee. He started drinking it after he saw what it did for my mom. And he was like 10 days into it. And he's like, my knee doesn't hurt. Like, I'm not having to wear my brace when I work out. And he was also same as you. He was noticing, like, well, I'm not like tired when I'm working out. Like, my muscles are able to do more. I'm going further. I'm not hurting the next day. And so that's when they really said, all right, like, there's something to this. My dad's a bit more analytical, and he said, well, show me the research. Like, what do they know about this stuff? And after he looked into it, they came back to me and they said, Danny, this stuff can't hurt you. Like, it can only help. It won't contraindicate with the medicine you're on. It's not going to do anything that could cause toxicity in your system. Like, it will literally just stimulate repair. So let's see what that means for your body. And they suggest that I give it 6 months because, you know, my situation was kind of more intense. And I started drinking. I don't know how much you're drinking, but they started me on 8 ounces a day. So how many mLs is that? I think it's 240 mLs. And it's about double, right? Like the base.
Double what base. Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't notice anything out of the gate, honestly. Month 1 went by, month 2 went by. But the 3rd month, it was like the lights came back on. Like, all of a sudden, I could think clearly again. I could get the word I wanted out. And the pounding that had been relentless had finally stopped. I like literally, it was, and I said to my parents, I said, this is all it does. It used to be amazing because it had felt like someone had a vice grip on my head for 2 years. And it dissipated. And I'll never forget this. My cognitive therapist, I'd been seeing her weekly. And she came and she said, Danielle, in 30 years, I've never watched somebody have such a rapid recovery so far out from their initial trauma. She said, with your type of injury, it does not happen.
Totally.
And she said, what the hell is that stuff that you started drinking? Because all my other clients need to know about it. And she was like the catalyst for me to learn. And man, when I got on the call, it was for her. She was talking to one of the members of the medical board. His name is Dr. Silverman. And he explained to her what it was. And he was totally just like unfazed by the response I'd had. She's like, 30 years, I've never seen this. And he's like, oh yeah, well, how much was she drinking and how long did it take? I mean, it's just like, it was crazy to witness these two have this conversation. And after I heard him share, I just had light bulbs going off in my mind of the potential. And I just thought, you know, everything in life is uniquely preparing us for the next phase and who we're becoming. And I thought, wow, I've got a degree in biology. I spent a couple of years teaching before my accident had happened. And here I've had this profound personal experience with this breakthrough health technology. And I thought, well, I think I'm meant to educate people about this scientific breakthrough. And that's what I spent the last 7 years doing. I've helped thousands of people, and that ripple effect, I think we were just talking about it, right? I was like, there's like 7 people that I had to ripple through to get to you for me. I just like, it's amazing. I sit here, I'm so smiling so much as you were sharing what this has done for you, because it is such a gift. Like, I felt it in my own body. And it's like, I just had a feeling of responsibility. Like, well, it clearly got put in my lap for a reason. And it was beyond just myself. Yeah. You know, I knew this was something humanity needed. And so this fire has been lit in me, and it only gets stronger because every day I hear stories like yours. And I'm like, well, who else do we get to touch? Like, we have to keep the word out about this stuff.
Yeah. And it's beautiful after all these years that you still have that excitement, because so many people are just discovering it. And I love that you called it technology, because really it feels like that's what it is. And it's very new, right? I believe I read that it was just discovered in 1990, this redox molecule.
Yeah, they didn't have the equipment sophisticated enough to see these molecules. Right. And so, yeah, in the late 90s, they discovered that these molecules, they're made in your mitochondria after the energy cycle, ATP, is created in the Krebs cycle. And they thought that the molecules were just like exhaust, like the exhaust in your car. And then they were able to follow them and realized, oh my gosh, no, like the body's incredible. It's making these molecules that then go out and play a bunch of different roles in the body. Yeah. And yeah, the field is new. I mean, talking about that field of science, it's new. And it's actually, I mean, it's revolutionizing things. Like, there's been a lot of conversation about antioxidants, and they are literally renaming some of these science communities. Like, they're calling it, you know, the free radical societies. Now they're renaming these things to be called like the redox society, because reductants and oxidants are the full story. We've been so focused on oxidative stress and antioxidants helping with that, which they do. Right. But there's a whole other side to that spectrum, these reductants, and anyway, the balance that they play together. And we can go into science or we cannot, but there's so much to it. It's like, it's super exciting.
Yeah, I find the science very exciting, because I feel like even the fact that it was just discovered recently, I feel like it is for these times that we're in. And intuitively, as I'm taking it, it's so interesting how things come, because I've been looking into EMFs, and my daughter has a almost 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, and they are sick all the time. And at their house, in parts of where I live, some of the power lines are underground, and then you have these metal boxes out on your front yard. Well, they have one of these in front of their house. And I was really trying to think, why are they sick so much? And I was just intuitively feeling that EMFs are making a difference for them. And then also thinking about myself and having less energy than I used to have, and just starting to get these illnesses, that I've always been very healthy. And so I was seriously looking at getting this product that you plug into the wall of your home that helps balance the EMFs, and wondering if I'd be able to convince my daughter to have one in their home. And before I push the button to make a purchase, I just thought I'll do a little research on this company, and it had some negative feedback. So I thought, okay, I'm not going to do that. And then the next thing, Asea comes to me. And as I'm taking this Asea, as I said, I'm not even a month in yet, I'm really feeling like what these molecules are doing is giving my body the energy that it needs to be able to manage the high frequency emissions that are around us now. It's got the energy it needs to keep me healthy, despite all the things that are in the sky and around us, and energetic frequencies, which I think is amazing. It really feels to me like it's the product for these times, the supplement for people to be able to manage our physical bodies, and then the emotional piece and the energy of being excited again is really, it's coming with that as well, which is really beautiful. If we want to be empowered, we need to step through some of those old patterning of wherever there's resistance and programs that hold us back. And I feel like we're now at the physical level of doing this. We've done a lot of emotional work, I feel like, people for many years. And now, to me, it feels like the physical is the piece that gives us that push that really puts us into it. And I see Asea Redox doing that.
Oh yeah. And it's interesting. I think the spiritual community has like woken up to it. I don't know, the last like year or so. It is an interesting time. And it's like, I knew there would be a tipping point when the masses started to learn about this. Like I've known about it for 8 years, and I've been trying to get the word out, but it was like falling on deaf ears. Like people weren't like ready to hear it. And I think a lot of people are starting to wake up to the fact that their health is their responsibility. There's things that they can do personally to help their physical body be in its prime. And with the redox molecules, so that stands for reductants and oxidants, the roles they play are really interesting in the body. When there's damage, they're the call for help that goes out. So it's helping the system to find what needs to be repaired. The problem is after puberty, you started making less of these molecules. The mitochondria are less efficient. So as we go through the decades of life, we have about 10% less every decade. And so the body's ability to find damage and repair is weaker. And as you were kind of talking about with EMFs, with, what's in our air, our food, our water, et cetera, the amount of stress we're under, the amount of just everything that's going on, our body's inundated, and it damages our physical body. Typically, the body keeps up by repairing. But when you have less of these molecules, so you have less, it's like less bars of service on the cell phone, right? A weaker signal and more issues coming in, it's a recipe for problems, and they will manifest differently in different people, depending on, where that's body weak, what body's weak, or whatever it might be. And so by drinking the Asea, you're just amplifying the call for help. You're helping the body more effectively find where it has damage and repair it. So it's helping. We've done research with oxidative stress. We've done so many incredible studies. There was one that looked at the communication within cells. So it's not just the call for help between, but also internally, these molecules signal on different genes. And because of epigenetics, because of the environment impacting our genetic expression, our genes get flipped off with age. And what was so interesting, this study was done with 35-year-olds that were seemingly healthy. And they looked at their genetic expression, and then they put a group on nothing. They put a group on salt water, and they put a group on the Asea Redox. And after 8 weeks, they tested them again. The group that they changed nothing had no shift. The group on salt water, no shift. The group on the Asea Redox had a range. It was between 20 and 31% in the activation of these different genes. And it's on the bottle here in the US. Every country like labels this differently because it's like a category creator. Governments don't know what to do with it. So they're not sure how to label it, and they allow some things but not others. But here in the US, which is where I am, I can talk to you about this. It shows, like, it's listed out here, all of the genes that this impacted. And it's
interesting.
Yeah, the gene that helps with your innate immune response. So the piece that goes out to fight viruses and everything else, like, who wouldn't want that amplified?
Exactly.
The gene that helps with a healthy inflammatory response. I mean, inflammation is like the underlying cause of so much.
Yeah.
It helps the cardiovascular health, digestive enzyme production, and hormone modulation. So, you know, that's just some of the like science and the research behind it. But the piece that's pretty cool is the topical. I don't know how much you've played with this, but this, you tell it where to go. So it's like that goes internal, the body figures it out.
Yeah.
You're like, no, my shoulder's bothering me today. I'm going to rub it right there, and I'm going to alert the body to repair right there. And like within minutes, you know, people are like, whoa, what just happened? What is that? How to do that? You know? And same with the skin. You'll see, like, you're just, gosh, 3 weeks into this journey, you've already experienced so much. But they call it Renew 28 because they say every 28 days, your skin cells, when you're young, renewed. And when you put this on, it increases, right, the body's ability to find the damaged cells and repair, or to get rid of old damaged ones and replace it with young, healthy cells. So your skin literally starts to look younger. Sun damage, cellulite. I mean, it's pretty fascinating.
I've been using it. It's interesting. You know, my mom has a lot of these dark spots on her face, and and the deep creases over the lips. And I'm like, oh, I'm looking like my mother. I'll be 67 very soon. So I guess that happens. But I've been putting this on, and there's one spot right here where it was almost puffed up, almost like it's kind of like a wart. And I've had those before. They just grow and they turn brown and they stay. And I've been using the Renew 28 for probably almost 2 weeks now. And this, when I touch it, I can hardly feel it now. Whereas before it was quite raised in my skin. And this little spot right here is disappearing. And my skin, I just feel like I have a glow that I didn't have before.
You definitely have.
Yeah, thank you. One day I forgot to take my Asea in the morning. So I take it morning and night. And because I'm going to the dentist pretty soon for my root canal, I decided to start taking it 3 days a week, because she said if the gum infection is there, I will have to do another round of antibiotics.
3 days a week or 3 times a day?
Sorry, 3 times a day. Yeah. And one morning I forgot to take my morning dose, and at that point I wasn't doing it 3 times a day. I wouldn't call it a dose, my morning drink. And my knee started to hurt. And so I put some of the Asea gel on my knee, the Renew 28, and of course that went away immediately. And since I'm taking 3 times a day, so I'm doing 2 ounces 3 times a day right now, I can feel the gum infection getting smaller and smaller, because I don't want to do another round of antibiotics, because then you're killing all the gut bacteria and all of that. So yeah, so I'm just upping it a bit and noticing more with that, noticing more detoxing. I think the reason some people don't feel anything immediate is because they're detoxing in the beginning.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, we should talk about that, because
yes,
one of the things these molecules do, like one of the genes that it turns on is EGR1, which is a pathway signaling gene, turns on NRF2. NRF2, it's antioxidant production. It's also the glutathione innate in your body has to be reduced to activate. It needs an electron, which is what reductants do. So we have seen that glutathione levels are upregulated by 800% with drinking the Redox. And that's huge, because glutathione helps your body detoxify, and it helps the body manage inflammation. And so I always tell people, when you start this, you know, drink more water, because your system will start to flush as you start to repair damage, or you get rid of old damaged cells. They need to flush out. If you have toxins in your system, the body is going to naturally push it out, and it can come out. Some people, I've had sweat. One woman, she had to sweat through one side. Like, she just got real sweaty on one side. Like, who knows what was over there, but weird detox, right? But that's what happens. I've seen diarrhea. I've seen you know, a rash. I've seen all sorts of things, not to freak people out. Like maybe 5% of people, right, notice something that extreme, but I'm like, wow, how exciting, because what would that have caused if it had just stayed in the body, you know?
Right. Yeah. It's a clear signal that the body's doing some work there.
Exactly. So I always get really excited when somebody's detoxing and they're like, Danielle, what is wrong with you? But I'm like, no, you understand. Your body's like celebrating getting this stuff out.
Yeah.
But for the rest of us, it's just like it's helping the system always, even if you don't notice it. Like that is one of the roles it's playing, to just help your system, you know, stay in balance and stay in its, you know, divine state.
Yeah. Someone I told shared the product with, and she started sharing it with a friend of hers who's been quite sick. And her friend has only had it for a couple of days. And yesterday I learned that she slept through the night for the first time in 3 years. She's only been using it a couple of days. And I guess she looks so much better because, wow, a full night's sleep. So yeah, there's so many things that it does.
So this actually, interestingly, it turns on that same EGR1 also turns on the circadian rhythm. So it activates that in the system, which literally helps the sleep cycle get reinstated. I hear so often that what you just shared is something I hear most common. Is like, well, I'm sleeping deeper. I'm sleeping like a baby. I'm not waking up in the middle of the night, and I'm having more vivid dreams. And I'm like, yeah. And you know, that study didn't come out until 2017. So, you know, I had been seeing it, and then that study came out and I went, oh, that's why we're seeing what we're seeing, right? Because this is a new science. Like there's some, like we're on the frontier. We're out there creating some of the research in this space of what we know about what these molecules do. But it's like, we know they're 100% non-toxic. Like they're completely safe for anyone to take, plant, animal, human.
Right.
And so we can see so much. And it's like, I have people, they spray it in their eyes, you know, they're rubbing the gel everywhere. Like there's nothing you can't do with it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. You can't OD on it. You know, there is no toxic state. It's natural to your body. That's the thing. It's totally natural to our body. We're not taking something that, you know, it's not like a food or anything that you have to introduce to the body. It's actually produced by our bodies. So yeah, it's very exciting.
It's like beyond natural, you know, it's native to you. So it's different. I mean, people try to put this in a box and say, oh, is it like CBD? Is it like essential oils? Is it like antioxidants? It's like, and I'm like, no, all those things are really good. But the best analogy I ever heard was, you know, it's kind of like a house that has had, you know, it's older, it's got some damage, and there's workers that are coming on to repair. But as the house has gotten older, less workers have started showing up, and there's more damage inside the house. And so the redox, they're the workers. They're coming in to do the repair work. And the supplementing that you do, the nutrition that you're taking, all those things, they're like the materials. Yes, you need them. There's like, it's a synergistic relationship. Those workers can't do anything unless they have the right building blocks, the materials. But also those materials are just going to sit there unless you have the workers to take them up. So this has proved to be the missing link for so many people. A lot of the practitioners I work with, naturopaths, functional medicine, integrative medicine doctors, some of them say, look, I don't do anything else. I put everyone on a 90-day protocol of redox to see, well, what can the system just repair itself, you know, once we get the communication back in. And then after that, anything that's left lingering, they say, okay, well, maybe there's a certain material that's missing. And they start to put that in. So it's revolutionizing the way that we can look at our health.
Absolutely. And that's why I'm so excited to share it. Like typically, you know, I would not be sharing a supplement that I take, but this is just so profound. And the stories that I've heard of how it's impacting people are just beautiful. It's something that you want to share. You want everybody to know it. And especially with what we've been going through in the last few years. And, you know, a lot of people could really use some support with how they feel. So if you, those who are listening, I'll put some links below with information where you can learn more. You'll just get in touch with me and I'll send you more information, and willing to have a chat.
I'll say this to all of you listening. If it's like resonating, Jane's website, I don't know if you know this, but there's a little button that says contact me. Guys, click that. Don't try and go purchase this on your own, because there's ways to do it and there's ways not to do it. She can help you save money, but also talk through like, well, how much do I need? Like, what's the situation I'm going on? Where in the family is it going to be used? Like, she can help you just kind of unpack that. This isn't like going and buying lipstick online, right? There's a conversation to have around it. So click contact me. It stimulates information being sent to her. So give her your phone number and email, and definitely reach out. We both just purely want people to be educated. We work with some of the medical board members. They have webinars throughout the week. Like, there's so much that we can get you plugged into to learn, to see, you know, what this can do for you. So
and also even the way you take it, there's information that you need to know about how you take it. And so contact me. I'm happy to share that. And thanks so much, Danielle, for being with me today and sharing your story and what you know about the underpinnings of how this works, and your excitement still in sharing this new technology, because you're still seeing beautiful stories from people about how that's it.
Sitting right in front of me. Yeah. How can you not be excited when this is what you hear on a daily basis? It's like, what do I have my hands on? You know, so I'm grateful that you see it. I'm grateful that you're looking to help others learn about it as well, because people are praying, they're looking, they're searching, and they're asking for it. And here it is. In this beautiful blue bottle. Who knew?
Okay, beautiful souls. Thanks for being here. I'll have the link to my website with the contact below, and we'll talk to you soon.